All right, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're diving deep into the pitch of a tech startup. And their idea? Well, it's to solve a huge, frustrating travel problem on one of the busiest tourist islands in the world, all with one really smart AI app. So let's break down their pitch and see if their strategy is actually built to win. So picture this. You're in a beautiful, new place, but you're spending what feels like half your time just fighting with your phone, wrestling with a dozen different apps for buses, for taxis, for rental cars, just trying to piece together a simple trip. It's a total headache, right? Well, that exact frustration, that is the multi-million-dollar opportunity we're looking at today.
Okay, let's get into the specifics here. The setting for this whole pitch is South Korea's incredible Jeju Island. It's a world-famous spot, but for millions of visitors every single year, it presents this massive transportation puzzle.
So here's the deal. The problem is actually pretty simple, but it is massive. Jeju is packed with tourists who travel on their own. But instead of, enjoying their vacation, they're hitting a wall of clunky, disconnected apps and pretty significant language barriers. And the result? Nonstop complaints and so much wasted time on logistics. This isn't just some minor inconvenience. It's a huge, glaring, unmet need in the market. So you've got this massive puzzle. What's the solution? Well, this startup is pitching what's basically the holy grail of travel tech, a single, elegant, one-app solution to rule them all. Their big idea is this: a one-stop mobility platform. Now, this isn't just another booking app. No way. Think of it more like an AI travel assistant. You just tell it where you want to go, and it handles everything else. Planning the absolute best route, combining buses and taxis if it needs to, booking it, and paying for it, all in one seamless experience. I mean, just look at the before and after here. The current reality for a tourist is a total nightmare of juggling apps, trying to translate things, making separate payments. But the proposed solution? It's a dream. It's just one simple, unified conversation with an AI that does all the heavy lifting. Moving someone from that state of confusion to total clarity, that is an incredibly powerful sales pitch. Look, a cool idea is one thing, but turning it into a real successful business, that's a whole other ballgame. So how are they going to succeed where others might have failed? Well, they've built their whole case on a few really solid pillars. So their entire game plan really comes down to 4 key things. First off, reliability. They're plugging directly into official data APIs, so it's not guesswork. Second, stability. They've designed multiple ways to make money. Third, and this is key, differentiation. They're hammering home that this is a smart AI assistant, not just another map. And finally, they're thinking big. This model is built from day one to scale beyond Jeju. And to prove to investors that this isn't some one-trick pony, they've really thought about the money. They're not putting all their eggs in one basket. They're planning for premium subscriptions, taking a small slice of the bookings, running some ads, and even selling anonymous data insights. For an investor, seeing this kind of mix just screams stability and reduces a ton of risk. All right, but here's where the rubber meets the road. No pitch, especially not one this ambitious, gets an easy ride. Any smart investor is going to hit them with the tough questions. This is the pressure test, where a startup really proves they've thought this all the way through. And right away, you've got the elephant in the room. In South Korea, you have these absolute giants, right? Kakao and Naver, they dominate everything. So what's stopping them from just flipping a switch, building this themselves, and crushing this little startup overnight? Their answer is actually pretty brilliant. It comes down to 2 things: speed and focus. They're arguing that a massive corporation just can't match their agility. They can push updates faster, they can respond to Jeju-specific problems almost instantly, and they can build really deep partnerships on the ground. Their whole strategy is to outmaneuver the giants by being the undisputed local expert. Okay, next critical question. Their entire service, the whole thing, lives or dies on real-time data from buses and taxis. But what happens if that data is just bad or slow? If the data's garbage, the app is garbage. It's that simple. So they've got a 3-pronged attack for this problem. First, they'll have a system that is constantly monitoring the data feeds for any issues.
Second, they're using predictive algorithms to intelligently guess and correct for things like traffic jams or delays. And third, and this is the really clever part, they're going to partner directly with the transport companies to help them improve their data over time. So they're not just using the data, they're making the whole ecosystem better.
Right. Now for the classic startup catch-22. You build this great thing, but if nobody shows up to the party, it's dead on arrival. So how do you get those first few thousand users to create that critical mass, that momentum? Their plan is basically to be everywhere a tourist looks. They're going to hit the airport hard. Kiosks and promotions right at the arrival gates. Then they're teaming up with hotels and the official Jeju tourism organization, so their app is part of the package. And on top of that, they'll run social media campaigns and offer free trials to get people hooked from the second they land. It's a targeted, aggressive blitz. Okay, so they've answered the tough questions. They've defended their turf. Now they have to paint the final picture. What does winning actually look like? And more importantly, how are they going to measure it? And they kick it off with one simple, beautiful number for investors: break even. Their goal is crystal clear: hit the break-even point in just 3 years. That's ambitious, but it's exactly what investors want to hear. But how do they actually get there? What's the math? Well, it all boils down to this very specific target. They need to reach 50,000 active users every month, and they need to convince just 5% of them to upgrade to a paid plan. Hitting that 5% conversion rate is the single key that unlocks their entire business model. And they've got a smart, phased approach. At launch, it's all about one thing: getting people in the door. Grow those monthly active users. Then, in the growth phase, the focus shifts. You got to turn those free users into paying customers. That's all about the booking conversion rate. And finally, once they're mature, it's about loyalty, making a product people love so much they recommend it to their friends. And for the final touch, and this is really smart, they go beyond just the profits. They frame their work as having real social value. They're not just a tech company, they're a partner in making Jeju a better, greener, more efficient place. For modern investors who care about ESG, this is a very, very powerful message. So, this all brings us back to one huge central question. Is this the new playbook? Can a small, fast, hyper-focused startup actually beat big tech at its own game by owning one complex market and owning it completely? If they can pull this off on Jeju Island, you can bet we're going to see this model pop up all over the world.